and destroy ISIS without getting the brave men and women in the U.S. Armed Forces into a perpetual war in the Middle East. The war in Iraq was one of the worst foreign policy mistakes in the modern history of this country. I voted against that war. And I will do everything that I can to make certain that the United States does not get involved in a similar type war in the future. This campaign is doing as well as it is because we are listening to the people, not wealthy campaign contributors. And one of the major differences between Secretary Clinton and myself is how we raise the funds we need to run a campaign. When we began this campaign, we asked ourselves, should we have a super PAC like everybody else? And we agreed with you. And what we did, unlike all other campaigns, is to simply reach out to the American people at BernieSanders.com and say, if you want to support a candidate who is prepared to take on the billionaire class, to take on Wall Street and corporate America, this is your campaign. Join us. And what happened over the last 10 months is something that I, in a million years, would not have believed. And that is, we received well over 5 million individual campaign contributions. And does anybody know the average contribution? And that is revolutionary. Because what we showed is that you could run a winning national campaign without begging billionaires for their money. Now, Secretary Clinton has chosen to go a different route. What she has done is established a number of super PACs. Her largest one recently reported raising $25 million from special interest organizations, including $15 million from Wall Street. Now, she has also, as many of you may know, given speeches on Wall Street for $225,000 a speech. Now, what I've said is that if you're going to get paid $225,000 a speech, it must be an extraordinarily brilliant speech. It must be a speech that could transform our world. It must be a speech written in Shakespearean prose. So I think, given what a great speech it must have been, let's release that speech to the American people. This campaign is listening to working people throughout this country. And what they are telling me is they can't make it on $8 or $9 or $10 an hour. And that we have got to raise the minimum wage in this country to $15 an hour. This campaign is listening to disabled veterans and to senior citizens. And what disabled vets and seniors are telling me, they cannot make it on $11,000 or $12,000 a year Social Security. And you know what? Nobody can make it on $12,000 a year Social Security. Now, despite that, we've got Republicans in Congress wanting to cut Social Security benefits. Well, I've got bad news for them. We're not going to cut benefits. We're going to increase Social Security benefits. This campaign is listening to women. And what women all over this country are saying is they are sick and tired of working for 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. And I know that every man in this huge room will stand, will stand with the women in the fight for pay equity. And by the way, when we talk about women's rights, I want everybody here to know that all over this country, you got Republicans running around talking about family values. And let us be very clear what these Republicans mean. What they mean is that no woman here tonight or in this state or in this country should have the right to control her own body. I disagree. What they also mean is that our gay brothers and sisters should not have the right to be married. I disagree. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the Latino community. There are today some 11 million undocumented people in this country, and many of them are living in the shadows, living in fear, and they are being exploited every day because they have no legal rights. Now, I am the proud son of an immigrant, and I know something about immigrant life. And what I know is that we will stand with our Latino brothers and sisters. We will. We will fight for comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship. Our immigration policy is what all immigration policy should be. We unite families, not divide families. And we will stop the deportations currently taking place. And if the Congress does not do its job, I will use the executive powers of the presidency to do all that I can. Now, in a democracy, there are people who have different points of view on immigration reform and everything else. But what is not acceptable is for the Donald Trumps and others to insult our Mexican and Latino brothers and sisters. In the year 2016, candidates for president should not be resorting to hatred and bigotry. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the African American community. And they are asking, how does it happen if this country could spend trillions of dollars fighting a war in Iraq we never should have gotten into? How does it happen that we do not have the funds to rebuild crumbling communities like Flint, Michigan? How does it happen that there are minority communities all over this country where unemployment is sky high, where the education system is failing the kids, where health care is not acceptable, and where too many of our young men and women, instead of getting great jobs, are ending up in jail? Together, we are going to change the national priorities of this country. Together, we are going to invest in our communities. Together, we are going to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure and create millions of jobs. Flint, Michigan is not the only city in America with serious water problems. All over this country, cities and towns have water problems all over this country. Roads and bridges are failing. Our rail system way behind other countries. Our airports, our levees and dams